And we're back. Thank you for joining me at the Critics Clinic for all things movie and entertainment related prescription needs. As always, before we go any further, subscribe, like, comment. I'm needing y'all to subscribe. It's not happening. But anyway, I'll keep going. I'm here to talk to you today about the third installment in the 28 Days Later franchise. 28 years later. It's been a long time. It's felt that long. It actually has been like 19 years since the last movie. So I'm here to talk about that movie right now. Of course, if you don't, I'm only going to give a brief synopsis, but if you don't want any of the spoilers, go ahead and fast forward to the time I put on the screen to get to my honest review and prescription at the end. This movie starts out, again, it's in the title, 28 years later. You're meeting a whole bunch of new characters you've never met in the previous two movies. Aaron Taylor Johnson's character plays a father with a wife who, Jodie Comer, who we're thinking she may have like schizophrenia, some type of disease. She has these outbursts, and they have a son named Spike. And they're in this little town off the British Isle that's connected to the mainland by like a little road through the water that during high tide they can't even get across it. When it's low tide, they go across and do this rite of passage with the boys coming of age in town to kill a monster, and that makes them a man, one of the infected. So the story starts out with it's his time to do that rite of passage. So Aaron Taylor Johnson's character takes him across, and of course a lot ensues, as you would expect it to. What can go wrong? Everything. They take this little boy across the path. He kills the monster. They run into something new that we're seeing, an alpha. It's a really large infected with a very distracting prosthetic, a very interesting character. I'm not really sure why they made him like this, but there are a couple of alphas through the movie. They're much larger like people, so they do set them out versus the other characters, so you know who they are. They run back because this alpha's chasing them. They get to, but before they leave, they actually see this fire, and the son asks, "What's that fire?" Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is like, "It's nothing." So they celebrate the boy once they get back to town, and he finds out from his mother's caretaker, like I said, they think the mother has schizophrenia. She has these outbursts, so someone's looking after her. And this caretaker's like, "Oh, that fire, it's a doctor. This doctor can help you." And so the son is like, "Oh, my mother needs help." So he sneaks out with the mother and leaves the father behind. And they go on this journey of they kill infected. They run into this guy from Sweden who helps them escape from some other infected. They find a pregnant infected who has a non-infected baby, which that's a whole different story for the plot I'll get to later. They take this baby and they find this doctor played by Ralph Fiennes, and Ralph Fiennes diagnoses her with cancer. It looks like metastatic cancer, and he's like, she doesn't have much longer to live, so she sacrifices herself for the good of her son. The son goes back, takes the baby to the village, and then runs away again and goes on this journey to find himself and kill infected, and runs into this troop of like Power Rangers. It was such a weird ending. But again, that's pretty much a brief synopsis. In terms of my review, so obviously I have 5 categories. Cast and crew is going to be first and foremost. Always, that can make, break, in this case. It can make or break a film. I would say in this case, Aaron Taylor Johnson did a good job of playing a deadbeat dad that no one liked, that cheated on his wife, that, you know, physically abused his son. Not like overtly, it's just that he lost his temper one time when he was going against his son. But he did a good job in that role. The kid, as you know, I don't typically like children's roles and children actors doing these very in-depth roles, because this movie really does center around Spike, the child actor. He did a good job. He did a lot of things that were very annoying, which is why I don't usually like child actors, but I would say it was fine. I would say Ralph Fiennes' character, Ralph Fiennes can do no wrong, obviously, so he played it. His role was incredible. Jodie Comer did a good job, I think. Even though she didn't have a lot of screen time, her outburst at the beginning and then towards the end, where it's a really poignant moment where she's sacrificing herself, essentially, I thought she did an excellent job. So cast and crew, 2 out of 2. Now to the plot. I have some notes. I would say if you're going into this movie expecting it to be like 28 days later and 28 weeks later, you are going to be, like me, sadly mistaken. I feel like this script was completely different than the other 2 movies, whereas the first movie really had you on your edge with this new concept. It was very ominous and foreboding, and, you know, Cillian Murphy's waking up from a coma, and you're like, what's going on? What happened to the world? And you don't know what's happening around the corner. And the second movie is a cleanup type movie where they're trying to figure out what's going on in this British Isle and contain it. This movie, I feel like it was too open. Sometimes leaving things to the imagination does more good than just overtly giving it to you. And I feel like in this movie, the plot itself, they weren't called bloaters, but they looked like that. These big, large infected that crawled on the ground, and then the alpha. It was just too in your face. It felt a little too campy to me, and the storyline was just so loose. It was a story about a boy trying to get his. It really wasn't about the 28 things. It wasn't about the infected. It was about just human emotion, and I understand that concept in season 1 of The Last of Us. The story about The Last of Us really is not about the infected. It's about the human condition and what you do to survive, what you do to love, what you do to grieve and loss and hate and all those things that happen. And that's what made it so good. And the same thing with 28 Days Later. That's what made it so good. In this one, it really is like, it feels like you're watching a Resident Evil type film. I mean, I don't mean that as a compliment. I would say that, to me, I did not enjoy the plot. It was simplistic and held your hand a little too much. Again, there were very poignant moments where Spike and then Jodie Comer's character, they had this moment of a mother-son bond that I thought was beautiful and got me emotional, but that can't save a movie. I'm actually giving the plot a 0.5 out of 2. I did not enjoy the plot. I thought it was just kind of a mess, honestly. And then the ending with the Power Ranger characters that they didn't explain. I assumed there'll be another movie. But again, it didn't work in this movie. And then just the weird characters with the alphas, just a very odd. You'll see what I mean when you see them. I just did not enjoy the plot, honestly. I'd say for a production standpoint, though, it was great. It was on a British Isle, and it looked like it was on a British Isle. I would say, I don't know why. I guess their maybe makeup budget was a lot lower than the first movie. I would say some of the infected, they just didn't look done up well. They just looked really like dirty people. Whereas in the first movie, they had the contact lenses with you could tell in their eyes the way they looked, and just like, and again, this is 28 years later. Maybe they've mutated. Maybe that's how they explain it. I don't know. But I would say just, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 2 just to be nice. But production-wise, I feel like there was a lot less infected in this movie than in the first 2 movies. And I feel like the makeup and design was much better in the first 2. Whereas you didn't really see a ton of infected in this movie. It was really focused on the alpha, the really big infected. I mean, even his makeup wasn't that great. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 2 and move on. Music, as if it's not a musical, it doesn't progress the story. I'm going to either give it a 2 or a 0. I'm going to give it a 2. So right now, we have a 2 for music. We have a 2 for production. We have a 2 for cast and crew. That's a 6. We have a 0.5 for plot, 6.5. My final category, how much did I enjoy the movie overall? I go into this as a horror film, as a drama film, a lover. Loved 28 Days Later. Love. It's one of my favorite cult-type movies. This one did not deliver. I found myself wondering what I was going to pick up. I found myself wondering why they were spending so much time on Spike, who was not, to me, a super exciting character. Honestly, I feel like they should have focused more on Aaron Taylor-Johnson's character. I wish they had kind of flipped the script and made it to where he was going out to save his wife. I just feel like it would have been just much more adult, much more adventurous. I don't know. Overall, I'm going to give that a 1 out of 2. I'm going to give a prescription for this movie a 7.5 out of 10. It wasn't horrible. I just feel like the plot was all over the place, and it almost wasn't even a necessary movie. It didn't progress this franchise, to me. I feel like it deserved more. Again, if you're going into this thinking it's going to be like 28 Days Later, it is not. It is not that. Tell me what you think below. Tell me what you thought I missed. Tell me what else you want me to review. You can be mad about it. It's fine. It's getting great reviews right now from everybody else. I just didn't love it. Sorry.